Megamind is a movie that plays around with the concept of superheroes and villains, delving deeper past the early archetypes of the genre by giving them a more humanized layer. Since the release of its sequel series, Megamind has gotten a large resurgence of attention within the past few months, with many people throwing their own 2 cents of what they thought of it, myself included.
What's Machiavellian done? Look ugly? He's assaulting my eyes, that's what he's doing. That's the most dangerous thing he's ever done.
Hello and welcome to Megamind University. If you think I couldn't possibly have anything more to say about Megamind after my previous hour-long video on it, you'd be wrong. In fact, I have so much more I want to say about it that I've decided to make a whole university. Now, my last video already went in depth discussing Megamind versus the Doom Syndicate and Megamind rules, and if you haven't seen that, please go watch. Please. Thank you, it would mean a lot. So I won't really be discussing them here. However, as of making this video, if you don't know already, it got announced for season 2! Yay! It's 2 weeks away. 2 weeks away. So you already know, we'll be making another hour-long video talking about that, but we won't be talking about that show at all here. I'm done. I need a break. However, in my last video, I started off by discussing the theme of emotion in the original movie. Looking back, I felt like that segment didn't go as in depth with the topic as I would have liked to, but that video was already turning out to be way too long and I had to condense it somehow. So now I want to take this time to make a whole new video to execute my thoughts on this matter a little bit better. I know that this is something others have previously discussed in other videos a lot better than me, I am sure of it. But I love talking about Megamind. I love any excuse I can get to talk about Megamind. So if you could just humor me just a little bit. Also, side note, I remember in my last video I said I've seen Megamind over 80 times. I don't know the exact number, but I've seen it over 80 times at least. That video was made 3 months ago. I've seen it like 120 times now. Also, if you've seen my last video, you would know that I planned on rewriting the entirety of Megamind rules if that video got 50 likes. As of right now, it's at 40, so we can get 10 more likes. That'd be awesome. And I will do it. Obviously, after season 2, which gives me so much more work. And also, I believe my rewrite will have infinitely more original takes than a video like this would. Now, if you're ready to enroll in Megamind University, sit back, relax, and...
But I also really need you to like and subscribe.
My previous thesis statement was that Megamind as a movie focuses on the emotions of the characters to move the plot along rather than focusing on an external conflict. Because of that, it was able to allow the audience to deeply understand these characters as people, which the lack thereof is what hurt the quality of the sequel series Megamind Rules. I'm not going to do a comparison of these, as I previously stated, my last video does that quite a bit, but if you enjoyed Megamind Rules, or you can't see a difference in quality between the original movie and the show, the points I'm about to bring up are something that I believe you should keep in mind when watching the show. The main external conflict of Megamind is clear: Titan. However, Titan wouldn't even be a problem if it wasn't for Megamind's internal conflict, his search for purpose. Megamind was always good. He always wanted to help others, like when he tried to make popcorn for his class so he can contribute the same way that Metro Man did. At the start of the movie, it's implied that Megamind's parents were going to tell him that he was always destined for greatness.
You are destined for...
They're even wearing the color white, which in this movie, that color is used to symbolize goodness. Side note, it's why Titan's suit is white, representing the intention for him to be good, while the orange and red flames represent his corruption. Even though Megamind was a good person, the bias his classmates and teacher had against him for not only coming from jail, but just looking different, didn't allow them to see him for the good he tried to do, and instead they punished him for his failed attempts. It's at that point where he realized he could no longer try to break past that bias, and he had to embrace it, causing his own perception of life to change, and believe that this is what his parents always wanted for him. Megamind dedicated his entire life to this, and to realize that there might be more to it than what he thought leads to the more emotional aspects of this movie. In my last video, I made this point.
So when he finally defeats Metro Man, he loses the kind of purpose that he's found in his life. As a result, he creates his own new hero to kind of fill the void that Metro Man left. From there, we see how the actions he takes to fill his void affect people around him more personally than the threats he's usually caused, and how that snowballs into the biggest threat that Metro City has ever faced.
This is one of my favorite points because I love the irony of it. Because of Megamind's good nature, his evil plans were never truly a threat to the city.
I had so many evil plans in the works. The illiteracy beam, typhoon cheese, robo-sheep.
On the other hand, when he's trying to create good, he accidentally creates something truly evil, and he also hurts those around him in a much deeper level than any other hurt he's caused in his life. Looking at the people that he's hurt, we start off with Minion. Minion is his best friend, the only one who's been at his side since birth, and yet he lied to him, kept him in the dark. But that's not truly what hurts Minion. When he finds out about Megamind's date with Roxanne, he's not angry with Megamind like you'd assume he would be. Instead of feeling betrayed by Megamind's deception, he tries protecting him because he believes that that's what his purpose is meant to be.
Sole purpose in life is to look after you.
Well, I don't need you to look after me. What are you saying?
It's Megamind's denouncement of not only his own purpose, but Minion's as well, that truly hurts Minion, and he has no other choice but to leave. Megamind and Minion were all each other had their entire lives. The life of evil that they built together was all they'd ever known. Roxanne softened Megamind and brought out the good in him and ended up making him feel more fulfilled than he had in his entire life. Not only did he love her, but he loved the version of himself that started to show when he was around her. While Megamind meant that he didn't want to be the bad guy anymore, he always valued and treasured Minion, and that never changed. However, his relationship with Roxanne was such a catalyst in his life that he would do anything to keep it, even if it meant eliminating Minion as an obstacle, no matter how harsh it seemed. But Roxanne, she's hurt even worse. To be put in her shoes in this movie is nightmarish, to say the least. She doesn't ever catch a break. On her final date with Bernard, they share a toast to being normal, which is a big deal for her. Everything in her life is hectic. She's constantly kidnapped by Megamind for all of the city to watch. She faces constant workplace harassment from Hal, and then eventually harassment from Titan, which almost results in her death multiple times. Her time with Bernard is the only time she holds dear because she can actually feel like a real person outside of her spectacle of a life. To find out it was just Megamind the entire time, it's devastating to her. Sure, she didn't initially feel threatened by Megamind due to his incompetence as a villain. We see at the beginning of the movie that she's comfortable and almost having fun in his presence. But believing he actually killed Metro Man is enough to change her mind on him. Even if her relationship with Metro Man wasn't romantic, she found out she was dating someone who she believed to be the murderer of a prominent person in her life, Defender of Metro City aside. Now, despite being an awful person, we do get insight into Hal Stewart's emotions as well. As everyone knows, he's the basic nice guy trope. He's infatuated with Roxanne and tries to do anything in his power to win her over, which is why the opportunity to become a hero is so important to him. In addition to what he believes is a great shot at winning over Roxanne, he also grows an attachment with his space parents. It's not specified how long it's been, but Hal spends a long time with the space parents just to find out it's all fake. He was already crushed by the realization that all the work he put into being a hero wasn't what would win Roxanne's affection, but to find out that his newfound father figure was not only a villain manipulating him, but was also the same man that, in his eyes, stole Roxanne from him is enough to send him over the edge. He was initially just interested in a few petty, selfish crimes. His plan to take over the city would have come much later, but Megamind's taunting is what really sets him off. Each of these characters' emotional responses are integral to the plot, and they wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for the emotions of Megamind. It's not about hero versus villain. It's about how Megamind feels and how he copes with those feelings. But one final perspective, and a little bit of a deviance from the initial topic that I like to touch upon, is a point of view that started before the events of the movie, Metro Man's. Metro Man is the most important piece of the purpose Megamind has found for himself. He needs Metro Man, but Metro Man never needed him. His routine with Megamind has happened since they were children, and while it's never gotten old for Megamind, it made Metro Man begin to feel empty. Similar to how Megamind was forced into the villain role, Metro Man was also forced to be the hero. The biggest difference was that Metro Man was able to discover himself on his own, while Megamind didn't even realize villainy wasn't for him until he fell in love with Roxanne. Also, I personally haven't seen many people mention that Metro Man cares about Megamind. Maybe when they were children, he had some kind of childish dislike for him, but as adults, Metro Man shows his admiration for Megamind and is the one to encourage him to be a hero. This implies that at some point, Metro Man was the first to realize Megamind's true capacity for good, to the point that he figured faking his death wouldn't endanger the city. I also feel like Roxanne was coming to this conclusion herself. Metro Man's death might have set her back. Garbage truck. Waiting for the garbage truck to leave. Okay, I think it's far enough. Okay. Metro Man's death might have set her back on those beliefs, but his later clear concern for the city is what sets her back on track.
If we don't find Titan's weakness, he'll destroy the whole city.
Okay, how can I help?
When Megamind tells Roxanne that she's the smartest person he knows, it shows his trust for her, which is why she's willing to let him into his apartment. And it's why we see a look of remorse when Megamind brings up the night that she dumped him to her. Now, I'm going off script here, but I know this movie like the back of my hand, so I know I'm gonna be right. It's like what Titan says.
You see the good in everybody, even when it's not there.
And we see that even with Megamind. We see despite everything, he's given her enough to trust him. And she's able to come to that conclusion before realizing that Metro Man faked his death. Now this video might be a little bit messy and I know it's short, but I wanted to try to stick to that initial thesis that I came up with in my last video because there's so much I could say about Megamind. I could make this video 10 hours longer if I really wanted to, especially on that last point of Metro Man and Roxanne always trusting Megamind. But we can do that later. We can get to that later. But the fact that there's so much in this movie to talk about, that there's so much that we can bring up and so many different discussions we can have just shows how amazing of a movie it is. Now, I'm biased. Again, I have seen this movie like 120 times, but this is Megamind University. I could say whatever I want about Megamind, ever. If there is to be a theatrically released sequel, like the creators said that they want to do, by the way, get me on that sequel. Eris-brenae for Megamind 2. Eris-brenae for Megamind 2. DreamWorks, again, I'm what you need for this. I can write Megamind. I know Megamind. Trust me. I digress. If there is to be a theatrically released sequel, the emotions of the characters need to be taken just as seriously. It was never a superhero movie. It was an emotional drama comedy that takes place in a superhero world. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. You can check out my channel for my last Megamind video, the hour-long one. I make Megamind edits and Megamind art. You can go check those out. And I have many other topics I'd like to discuss, including Mastermind, the original script for Megamind. I really want to talk about that because that script is insane. Nobody knows about Mastermind, and I'm like, I think everyone should. I want to have like a few more character focused videos. I'd love to make another video focusing on Roxanne and Metro Man's trust in Megamind, or like their own personal whatevers. Keiko from Megamind Rules. I don't know how anybody else feels about her, but I personally like her. I want to make a video talking about like how good of a character she is, honestly, to me. Maybe Season 2 will give you more to talk about on that front. I have no clue. I'm a little scared, but I'll see you guys next time, which my next video is most likely going to be my second Megamind Rules analysis. That'll probably take me a while to make. It took me 3 weeks to make the last Megamind Rules video, so we'll see about that. I hope you enjoyed your first course at Megamind University, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!
Honestly, I didn't know any better. I think this is your first day of being evil.